Hello and welcome to my Vue.js drag and drop tutorial. In this tutorial, we'll be building a drag and drop feature list app for Vue 3 using the HTML5 drag and drop API. We are not using any libraries, just the HTML and CSS to style our app. To get started, I have a folder that I've created. If you don't have a folder created already, you can create one or just go to a directory where you want to create the project and get started. I'll be running npm create view at the latest. So get the latest version of Vue already. Already have the folder. I don't need a new project name, so it's not empty. Remove yes. Let's go package name Vue drag and drop. Just put Vue dnd. Let's go TypeScript. Yes, if you don't want to use TypeScript, you can say no, but there will be a part 2 of this video where we'll be adding TypeScript, so I'll be putting yes for now. JS support no, Vue router no, Pinia no, testing we are not testing. Yes, links for code quality, yes, prettier, yes. Now we can run npm install. Now that we are back, if you did not, okay, let's move on. Already have this, so npm run dev to get started. Okay, so cows 513 come over. All right, this is the Vue welcome page. Now that we are done with the project setup, we'll basically go and configure TypeScript to allow us to write JavaScript. So that way, those of you that are not familiar with TypeScript can also contribute, like follow the tutorial. All right, allow JS true. Then the next thing we'll be doing is telling Vue that we are here to do that drag and drop, basically. So we'll be updating a load message. Right here, this message will be changing it to drag and drop. Okay, it's updated. And next we'll go into the hello world component here, and we'll change this to an HTML5 drop project. Okay, let's put using instead of with that I had here before. Okay, nice. It's looking good. So the next thing we'll be doing is going into the welcome component and welcome item component. The welcome item component basically takes in a couple of properties in the form of slots. So passing in icon from the welcome component, we're also passing in the heading. And then we'll have another slot for the description. All these details here. We'll be converting all of those to an array of items so that we can render them out like this. And the advantage of converting them to an array of items is it will be easy for us to sort. We'll just change the position of the item in the array when after dragging it and dropping it in another position, basically. So the next thing we'll be doing is adding the data that we use to render the item. So we'll open the welcome component. we'll be importing ref from view. We can say const items is equals to ref. Okay, it seems Copilot has an understanding, at least up to a point, of what we're trying to do. Okay, yeah, this is nice so far, but it's not really good enough. What we'll be doing basically is having each of our objects will be having an icon property, heading property, and content property, which will now be looping over to generate the welcome item list. So let's just, for us not to waste time, let me copy in the fully written out version of it. Now version here, so we can see all of the items are already up there. Now we can write our v4, a for loop, using the v directive v4 to loop over the items. So you can say item in items, then we can see that we need to add the key. To get the key, we just destructure the item a little so we can get the index of each of the items in the array, and then we can add the rebind key and put the index here, so that we won't now see the error again. We save, come back to the browser, you see we're now having documentation in 5 places. We have not started using the properties of each of the items, so we have been able to see them here. So we are seeing the same icons all over. Before we go over to do the rest, we'll be removing all the other items. So we'll just be sending them in from our array. Okay, so then we'll come over here. To get our icon, we'll be using view computing components for running dynamic components. So we'll be using is here. Then we're passing in item dot icon. So we'll be passing our components here. If you notice, our icon in the objects are actually the component, the icons that we actually imported directly. You can see here documentation icons. So they are essentially components that we are passing in to render inside the view built-in component here. And then for the heading, we're passing in the item dot heading. And lastly, we're replacing this with item dot content. So if we save now and go back here, you see we have all our items listed out with the icons displayed on the screen. The next thing we are going to be doing is removing all these styles for the icons and just changing the shape so it will be look neater when we are dragging them from one position to the other. So we'll go to the welcome item component, and we'll be adding the overstate for each of the items, including another. Let's just put the overstate first. Will be working on drag. What happens when an item is dragged over another later on? So on over, be adding an outline for that's like a border, and then a background color, border radius, and the likes. You go back here, you see already have the overstate. And then the next thing we'll be doing is removing this or this after effects, this lines and styling for the icons. We'll be doing that in the media query. So that's where the star is for those who applied. So we'll be removing all the contents, the media queries here with this. So only just basic time. You save that, come back. So this is looking quite neater already. Then we can now start implementing our drag and drop. The first thing we'll do is go back to the welcome component. Yeah. And then add draggable. Then insert the value true. Save. See, we can already drag our items around already. That's in itself is cool enough. So but being able to drag around is not enough. We'll need to be able to drop them. To do that, we need to add a couple more property to achieve this. We'll be adding the drag start event handler. With that, we'll be able to undo what happens when an element is being dragged. And then we won't be naming our own drag start. Okay, and the drag start, that's nice. And then a drag over. What happens when an element is being dragged over? We're not putting, we'll just be preventing the defaults. Drag over prevent, then we'll have at drag and the drag the index. Next, we'll be creating this and the drag start and do drop functions. And to them, we're passing in the index of each of the item being dragged and being dropped, or the index where it's been dropped. So we'll come up here, the ref, and create the undo drag start. No, that's not what we want to do. Copilot suggestions can be funny at times. So we'll have a new before. So yeah, so creating a ref, a dragged item that will be storing the value of the items being dragged. So we'll be able to drag them. Then we'll have a const undo drag start. Okay, I think TypeScript is in here. Let's remove TypeScript. So we'll be seeing a couple of errors. Let's leave that for now. Or if we're writing functions without, we'll be getting error. Let's just remove language TypeScript from the top here. All right, so we can come back down here and say drags item.value is equal to index, basically. So that is quite easy. If we log that console.log drag start index and come over here, check our console. Now item gets dragged. You see, we see the index showing a 1 2 3. Okay, we haven't added drop, that's why we are seeing the error here. Okay, and then we also have another error here that we are receiving a reactive object, and that a component is receiving a reactive object. We should be using shallow ref so that when we're updating, then you can Then shallow right. Okay. Save. Reload. Okay. No more errors. Just that. Okay, we still need to add the drop event alert for what happens when an item is being dropped. Okay, that's good. So we'll go over here and const and the drop. Let's see. Don't know what's doing here. The first one we'll be doing this doesn't seem to. Okay, got a few things right, but let's write our own. Just so first thing we'll be doing is copying the contents of our items list. So we'll be having a temporary array for doing that. Then we'll do items.value. So we'll copy them in here. And then the next thing we're doing is temporary array. The splice. We'll be removing the item from the array, the item that we actually dragging, we'll be removing it from the array, then inserting it in another position. So temporary array dot splice dragged item dot value on one. So we'll be removing it there, and then temporary array again, index 0. All right, so this is it. So the first thing we're doing here is removing the item from the position that it was, and then we are adding it again in another position, new position where we had the item that's been dragged in. So, and then the last thing we'll be doing is setting our items dot value to our new temporary array. If we do that, we'll come over here. Now, you see, we can now drag and drop our items in another position. Okay, that's cool. I think that we've come to the end of the part one of the video. I'll be uploading the second part. We'll be implementing the overstates and what happens when an item is being dragged over another, and then writing the TypeScript portion of the project. So thanks for watching.